Welcome back to Senior Talk Radio here on 88.1 FM and WCWP.org. This is Project Independence in You. I'm your host, John Ryan, and my co-host today is Otto.
Always enjoy being here. Looking forward to the Kristina Lou show.
And that's what we're going into right now, the Kristina Lou show. And we're just, you know what? A good point was made in reference to, we have two shows. And it's tremendous because we have an hour show, which is an interview of a different person every week. And then we have an hour show, which is the Kristina Lou show, which is a merging of talk of the town and recipes and exercise programs. I don't know, whatever else we want to talk about. But I just want to acknowledge that our guest of October 30th, Robert Zimmerman, did a tremendous job. Really, he's a Democratic National Committeeman, and I understand after talking to him why he is that. He's well informed. He cares, which is the most important part. People have to own what they do in my life, as far as I'm concerned. And when you have somebody who owns it, and actually I'm looking at Otto, and I'm going to tell Otto, you own what you do, because you're a volunteer for Project Independence and #1 volunteer because you own it. You want to be here. It's not like, I don't really care. And I know over this past 6 months, you've adjusted your schedule when we've changed things, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm very appreciative of it. And I know sometimes I haven't been here, but I know you're always here. So at the end of the day, it works out perfect. So talking about people owning things. And then, of course, we have Kristina. And without her, she owns everything. I mean, she really is. I mean, that's an important thing. Because I don't like people around me that just exist. Anybody we've had on, it seems, as past guests, it wasn't like, they gave me $10,000 raise, so I took the job even though I don't like it. No, you're doing it because you love it. And it's something you really want to do, and you're enjoying yourself. And anyway, that's my little...
I agree with you 1,000%. I know in my business world, people maybe who didn't have maybe quite as much talent, or maybe they weren't as smart, but the facts are they were so engaged in what they were doing that they became good at it, right, because they had the right attitude. Maybe they were missing a little here and there, but the bottom line is whatever they had, they used to the fullest of their capability because they were really engaged in it and they wanted to do it. I always say you have to have the will to want to do whatever it is you're doing. And if you don't have that will, you're just going to float through. And it's, life is, we're here for one shot, I haven't figured out a way to get two out of it, but,
When you tell us, Otto, that'll be your show.
No, it's perfectly said. I clearly agree with everything you guys are saying. And I think that's what's important in life. Everyone, I think, has this image of how things are supposed to be and but at the end of the day, if you need someone that might not have the best education or the most money or whatever it might be on paper, but if you work hard enough and you have that passion and that fire, I'm a firm believer in all kinds of things can happen, if you do have that, passion for whatever your thing is. That's always my thing.
You know what? It doesn't matter if you're making pizza in a pizza parlor or cleaning up tables or whatever. If you're engaged in it and you're doing good at it, you're a great human being and you're
Absolutely.
A success, as far as I'm concerned.
I totally 100% agree with you.
I want to go to something Otto has said many times. And the first time he said it, it was so impacting to me, that his father was a professional milkman. And I've never heard it put that way, because somebody would turn around and say, what the hell, he was a milkman, or he's a sanitation guy. Guess what? He was a professional milkman. And the way you said it, it was so impacting that day, because it was very true. That's what he did. He loved it. He did it properly. And that's a profession. He owned it. Your father owned it.
Right.
That's very important.
Absolutely. I think about that all the time. But also, more importantly, something also happened today that warmed my little Bravo loving heart, that the two of you were coined Anderson Cooper and Andy Cohen of the Town of North Hempstead. So I feel like my job here is done. I've really just, it's like the ultimate compliment to have, the two of you doing that, because that is certainly quite the duo.
We're going to have to get a toupee.
Who was Anderson?
That's my point. We're going to have to get
Andrew.
toupees.
Yes, right.
Oh, yeah, they both have hair.
All right, next show, guys. We'll work on a little, silver fox toupee. But it was really.
We got the microphones. Now we got to go for wigs.
That's right, guys. Watch out, world. But in exciting news, everyone can see me. This is not my normal getup. I am all Halloweened out because once again, we're missing another celebration together in studio. But my job is to make it as colorful and as, virtually party as possible. I have our cupcake, that we would have in the studio. So unfortunately, I'm the one that gets all the calories because I get to sit here and eat it. So I am, I'm certainly Halloweened out, and I want to wish everyone a happy and safe Halloween. And also, last week we missed John Ryan had a birthday, so I had to give a quick shout out to that before we continued, because that is something that would have been a big celebration too. But it's certainly a lot we're getting a message from Dan that he misses the parties, and I tell him every week, do not worry, because when we do come back, we're coming back with a bang. That's just my spiel.
It's the truth, because for all the occasions, Kristina always had, the first time I saw when I was in shock because I didn't know what was coming. But for all the occasions, for birthdays, for Christmas, for Hanukkah, you name it, Halloween, the place was covered with streamers. And of course, Dan had to clean up, the confetti that she threw.
And he misses it. So I'm going to have to go sneak in the studio one day and just sprinkle confetti around just for old times.
I happen to be on Facebook with Kristina, and she just topped it this week with her Halloween outfit.
Thank you. I did win. Here's my winning mug for the Halloween Bowl for most creative costume. So
a holiday
my trophy, guys.
A holiday or most days do not go by without Kristina having some form of celebration. It doesn't have to be a holiday.
And you have to figure out, all of my friends, we were trying to, in my family, these things are such big things. So obviously this year things were different, it wasn't the normal way. But I think it's nice, and people are able to be creative and figure out ways to do these things outside. And listen, I was determined. I said, I actually had a pretty warm costume on this year. So I powered through outside, which was really, really nice. So, and also my husband was featured on Dr. Oz, which we'll have to give him a shout out.
Ooh.
His video it was on his birthday last Friday. They showed our creation. He might've done the heavy lifting, but I was the visionary behind it, was our Halloween candy shoot, which is a 6-foot tube that, can keep you from the little trick-or-treater. We'll throw the candy down the chute, and then this way they can take their candy and still get the experience of trick-or-treating, but we don't have to come in any contact, which is lovely. So that was because we are Anderson Cooper, Andy Cohen. We're on Dr. Oz. I mean, what is happening in this world, But it was really, and also what they said.
Actually, Dan is just sending you a link. Do you have a clip? And I'm thinking of the same thing.
That's right. I will send that certainly over. I have it ready to go. I'll definitely send it over to Dan. But what also they said in Dr. Oz, which I thought was so interesting, was that, and also before I get to that, my grandfather loved Dr. Oz. So this made it even more special for me because we used to laugh. We said when, my grandpa was filling out paperwork to the doctor, he would say his primary was Dr. Oz, because he just loved everything. I used to buy him the magazines and everything. So I was just I know Tasso is up there, smiling down on this situation. But what was really nice that Dr. Oz mentioned, was he had this doctor on who was discussing different safe alternatives, and how you can do it, in a safe way. And that's why we were in the segment. But one of the other things he said that I thought was really interesting, he said there were so many seniors that look forward to and get, the vibrancy and the good chi from seeing, little kids running around and getting that energy. So they said, if you still want to do that, they said your family set up a table and you sit behind it in a chair, and you could actually have pre-packaged bags. So this way there's no sharing of the candy. So, the kid just takes their bag and goes on their way. So it was just, it's nice to see people, kind of thinking outside the box if they, so choose to. And it was just exciting. So we shall see, guys. Hopefully we have a nice day. We've been quite the rainy week or so. So
Saturday should be good.
What is it? You know what it's supposed to be like?
Saturday, I
For
think it's
Halloween,
supposed to be
Christina?
I think it's
okay.
supposed to be nice. I stopped looking at the weather because
Oh,
I
yeah?
get myself anxious, but we shall see. So it's just really, it's exciting and it's nice. And like I said, I preach on the show all the time. It's all about thinking outside the box. You know, we're not sure how long we're going to be in this situation. So to kind of figure out safe ways to do things that you love, whatever it might be, I think is certainly wonderful. So
I
You know,
believe we're going to be in this for a while, quite a while yet.
yeah.
I don't see I don't see this ending by Christmas or New Year's.
No, and I think, you know, and it's the acceptance of it. You know, I have to just also give one of my latest audiobooks I've been listening to is the fabulous Matthew McConaughey, because I love his whole spirit and energy, and his messages are really just absolutely, it's such it's like my therapy in the car when I'm driving to. And he was just saying, you know, just coming to accept it, you know, and this way you're not, he's like, say, all right, it's not going to be done until 5 years, because if you keep thinking, you get yourself all crazy. So, and then if it's done shorter, you know, if things kind of can go back to semi-normal beforehand, you know, it is what it is. So it's something that obviously I myself struggle with. You know, we mention this all the time. Is like you get ahead of yourself. But I think of just projecting and saying, all right, like, so this is what's the current situation is. How am I going to figure out, you know, kind of somewhat of a even kilter normal situation. So that's all I'm trying. I'm trying to listen to the great words of Matthew McConaughey on this. That's it, guys. And North Hempstead is certainly thinking outside the box constantly. And they had a whole bunch of little Halloween events that they were doing. They had the fabulous spooky walk and the not so spooky walk they just offered. And it was actually funny. I was going through old photographs for my cousins because I wanted to send them a little Halloween, pictures of us as kids. And I stumbled upon a Polaroid picture of me and my cousins and some family friends at Clark Garden at the Spooky Walk. And, right in the back, it says, I said, little did I know I'd be working for the Town of North Hempstead many years later. So I have a proof, it was in the pudding, that somehow this would all work out. So that they did that in North Hempstead. They're also doing a drive-in movie screening of Hotel Transylvania, which will be at North Hempstead Beach Park on Friday, October 30th. The show time's at 6:30. And then very cool what they're doing on Halloween from 7 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. They're hosting the first ever drone light show at North Hempstead Beach Park. I'm so impressed with how this is going to look, because it's going to be at this crazy light show with drones set to music, and it's really for all ages to enjoy. The event is free. It's only for North Hempstead residents. The vehicles are admitted on a first come, first served basis. There's strict social distancing guidelines and masks and whatnot. And you have to remain in your vehicles unless you're going to the bathroom. So,
Have you ever flown a drone?
I have. Well, I've been.
I have too.
I have. It's quite.
I have a drone.
This segment is going to be called Everything You Wanted to Know About Drones, but We're Afraid to Ask, because Kristina has a story and Otto has a story. So you fight it out. Who's going first, guys? I want a story.
Kristina.
Well, listen, I wish I could sit here and preach that I'm a drone expert, that I've mastered the drone. I am fascinated by drones, but have yet to master the actual thing. Like I said, when they first became a thing, my husband, I remember that Christmas buying my husband little ones, and he was like a little kid, playing with his friends outside with their drones. And he really thought he had mastered it until like the drone just faded off into sunset, and there's a button on there that says return home. Because I was like, Jay, it's all we need. It's going to fall on the neighbor's house, And luckily it came home and fell in the middle of the street. And that was, I think, the last time that we were both like, oh, we're not cut out for this. We need to master the drone. But I am so fascinated with them, especially because of the video capabilities. People have them for weddings and they can get a whole scene. I said, I wish I could just have a drone like fly over, any function I have to kind of record what's happening. So that is mine. I'm fascinated by them. I think they are absolutely incredible. And it's, Dan was even saying they're used instead of fireworks at a lot of places. So I think it's just, it's a pretty cool thing. And it certainly seems like a safer thing than fireworks. So.
Well, one of my son-in-laws is a big drone guy. He has a drone that goes up so high you can't see it.
Yeah.
And so for 2 Christmases in a row, they thought it'd be a good idea if they got me a drone. The first drone, I never took out of the box, and I gave it to my youngest grandson eventually. But the second drone, I decided I was going to learn how to use this thing.
I like it. See, we
So
could
you
have joined forces, Otto.
put an app on your smartphone, and when my two youngest grandchildren, two boys, 11 and 6, visited us from Pennsylvania, I decided it would be a good time to break it out, you know. So I break it out, and we're doing pretty good. You know, I have it up in the air, which is an accomplishment right by itself. And we're in my backyard, and I have a little steering problem. You know, you steer this thing with the screen on your smartphone, and it managed to get caught up in a tree.
Oh.
Yeah, but luckily not high, so we were able to get it back down. But frankly, I have not flown the drone since that day. But I think it's a lot of fun, and you know I can't imagine how they're going to deliver packages with these things.
I know.
You know, I mean, it's a toy now, but it's going to be a serious, as you just indicated with the light show, a serious technology that people are going to use in the real world for shipping things. And I read in rural areas, they deliver library books to kids, especially during COVID. It started where they use drones to literally deliver books. I have no idea how they do it. And these can obviously be a lot more powerful than my toy drone that I have.
I know. That's what I'm saying. I think me and Otto's downfall, we didn't have a powerful enough drone, I think was really the case.
But I mean, it's a technology that 10 years from now, 20 years from now, we're going to see more real stuff going on with drones.
Oh, there's no question.
Yeah.
That's right. Well, stay tuned. We'll be reporting on it here.
But now, Kristina, I want to go. I don't think Otto has one of these. I believe I saw you on that all-terrain vehicle. Did you drive it?
Okay, so like full confession.
I don't know this. I don't know if Otto knows.
Yeah, so my husband, for his birthday present for himself, he purchased an ATV because, like I said, we've been trying to find outdoor things to do during this time, certainly, because, like I said, that's our comfort level, is an outdoor situation. So we're trying to find anything possible that we can do outside. So my husband did it, and like I said, in theory, you know, I have a vision of myself, you know, I'm going to do this, but I'm also a very cautious person when it comes to anything like that. I'll have the outfit, always have since I was a little girl, you know, I always will look the part. I always want, you know, I'll have the helmet that, you know, that's always been my thing ever since I don't know if you saw the picture. She was like one of those biker dudes.
Yeah, I did.
Let's be clear. I rode it around the parking lot. So I'm going to give a full disclosure on that. I was not going, I'm very comfortable on the back of it with my husband driving. Is a great time. I get to look around, look at the leaves, you know, I get to just enjoy the scenery. But this place said, you know, no, you can't ride together. You have to ride alone. So I was like, I'll ride in the parking lot and I will sit here. And I took pictures of leaves while he drove around and had a grand old time. So that one picture you caught was simply me driving around a circle in that parking lot, which was a stretch for me. I said, this has been a great time. I've met my quota, and I'm just gonna go sit and take a picture with my helmet on, and that's really it.
Where do you actually go, like using an ATV?
Yeah, so it's actually I've learned a lot.
Like on Hempstead Turnpike is not a good idea.
No, you can't. So there's in Long Island, upstate, there's tons of places. But on Long Island, there's only a couple of things. So we went out east to Calverton. They have a whole trail thing. You know, obviously, if you have your own.
Oh, is that dirt road, Kristina? Like.
Yeah, it's like within the woods. They make like a trail within like the woods, which is
okay.
But and like if you have your own property, you can kind of do whatever you want. But for all intents and purposes, that is it. You know, so we're actually looking to go upstate because I told him, I said, all right, you can do whatever you want. I was like, just find me a cozy cabin that I could have a little fire in. So we're actually in the process of trying to find something like that because upstate there's tons of stuff. So I also have to laugh because as much as my husband loves this, he keeps it so pristine. I said, I think you're like missing the point of it. Every ATV I see is very dirty and muddy and and his is like, you know, a showcase. I was like, this is not your Camaro. This is an ATV. So let's just, you know, but he's all about keeping everything, you know, up to par. So.
Do you have a truck? How do you get it upstate?
Yes, he has a pickup truck.
Okay.
So luckily he had a pickup truck with a very big bed, because then we did not have to get a trailer, because that was going to be it for me. I was like, we are not getting a trailer. And
Kristina, you actually drive, he has like a ramp and he drives the thing up?
Yes, he has a ramp.
Okay.
So I'm, please, between me and my mama, Barbara, just watching the whole ramp process was quite the stressful process in itself. I said, this is it for me. Watching Jay go up a ramp, down a ramp I was like, this just seems dangerous. I was like, put your helmet on. But it's fun. It's a new thing for us. So yes, I like that. I like that you guys thought I looked really outdoorsy and adventurous. But it's all in the outfit, guys. I'm a queen. If you fake it till you make it. You know what I mean?
Actually, Otto saw the picture too. It was one of those pictures I said, this cannot be this party queen that we know. I was nervous. And I looked at her.
This is why you know me so well. Clearly, you saw beyond the gear,
Yeah, but knowing Kristina, it's connected to a party.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I was like thinking that. I said, that's why I was like trying, my wheels were turning. I was like, there's these beautiful cabins out there with all this property. Like, what can we do on here? But like I said, we're trying to find things, and it all ties back into finding stuff, that you're able to kind of do. It's a new thing for us. So we shall see where this takes us on the world of ATVing. It's a little dirty for me of an activity. So I don't know about the whole mudding and all that stuff. But we'll see. There'll be more pictures to come, I'm sure, people.
You're not allowed to drive those on the road, I don't think, are you?
No, only if there is like an emergency. So if there's like a snowstorm and because people have actually, Jay looked at it at first, because there's a lot of people that have actually attached little plows to them.
Oh.
So his dad does, landscaping still on the side. And he was looking for something small because he does it in this little community. And they were saying that's actually something that you can do. So who knows? You know what? It's just, it's one of our things. So we shall see where this takes us. Or hopefully it doesn't just rot away in our driveway, But
yeah, the only thing is, you use it for a couple of years if you like it, and you sell it.
That's what I said.
Just, at this point in time, it makes sense. You're having fun. You enjoy it.
Right. And that's what I said. We're getting outdoors. We're, I said, we're very fortunate in New York. I was saying to my husband, and you can go and you feel like you're in the woods. You can be on Long Island and go to the beach, or out east to wine country and farms. There's certainly all terrains. And then the city, when we're able to kind of go back into the city, really, so.
Well, that goes back to my partner, Peter. He says, in reference to New York, there's no state like it. You can go from a beach in Montauk,
amazing,
up to Mohonk,
yep,
and go hiking in the mountains. And then you have Broadway, and you have major football and baseball and basketball, and you name it, you have it in this place.
Yeah, and you can get to everything relatively quick. So it's pretty impressive.
Well, you mentioned beach. I just started something with several cousins.
I saw that on Facebook.
I saw that too.
Yeah. Sunday morning, we do about 10,000 steps at Jones Beach.
Awesome.
Along the boardwalk. And I'll tell you, it's amazing how many people are out there. It's unbelievable. And they really did a beautiful job.
It's amazing. It's so beautiful.
The whole place is great. People are not in the water, obviously, but there's plenty of people walking and riding bicycles of all ages.
Mm-hmm.
So you're right. What John said, and Peter said, that we just have so many things. If you're able, while you can do it, do it.
And I think that certainly, we're always trying to look at the silver lining in this crazy world we're living in. And I think, just my own observations too, and even what you're saying, Otto, I see so many more people now outside walking and doing stuff that, you never would have thought. At this time, you think, all right, people kind of would fade off. It's fall. It's getting a little chillier. People aren't necessarily going to be, walking around Jones Beach. But I see, my husband and I did the same thing, and we saw there was like a lot of people, and everyone was like doing it safe, distanced, and it's just nice to see. I think it's actually, people certainly, I was laughing. I said, all my friends turned into like hikers during this whole thing. Everyone's constantly hiking in the woods with their husband and children. So I think, that's kind of a positive that's coming, because at least you're getting out there. Because I think everyone ran the gamut, and I love TV, but I also think you need a balance, certainly, and to get out there and enjoy the fresh air.
I saw pictures of Otto walking with some of your family, and it's funny, but not funny. It was very nice. I hate sand. I will never step on sand. I don't go to the beach. And my wife loves the beach. And it's all our life. It's like, you go down the beach. I stood like where the concrete ends. That's where you'll find John, because I'm not.
Well, that's why the boardwalk's good for you, because
boardwalk I like. I like the boardwalk.
Scenic,
I'll do it.
you know, but you're not actually touching sand.
You can't touch it. In fact, just last night I said to her, I said, would you have an interest? But she won't, because she's too COVID concerned and me concerned. I said, would you be willing to go over like to Long Beach? But we would stay in a hotel on the boardwalk, just like one Saturday. We know it's a nice day. We'll go for a walk. You know, we haven't been to a restaurant. And she said, no, you're not going to a restaurant. I'm not going. And that's the end of it. And I said, okay. I said, you know, you go into one of these places. I mean, there's certain things that are safe. And, you know, we just have two different personalities when it comes to it. I would be willing to go. I'm not going to go into a crowd of 1,000 people that you can't even touch your shoulders, that everybody's touching shoulders. But, you know, you're 25%, you got a table here and another table over there. You're on the what do you call that? The boardwalk, the doors are opened. Yeah. But she said, no.
Well, listen, and it all goes back to everyone's got their own comfort level. And,
right.
You know, and I think, listen, who knows, you know, maybe she'll get comfortable in a month or two, you know, you don't know. But I think it's like respecting that too. And that's something, you know, like I said, my whole family, anyone you talk to between my cousins, everyone's got a different opinion or comfort level. So it's kind of just finding a happy medium for everyone. So,
well, you know what's coming up now, and that's starting with talking in my family, is Thanksgiving and then Christmas.
Yep.
And it's kind of looking like, in my end of it, we're going to wind up with a very small handful of people.
So what's going on for Thanksgiving, which is a month away, but it's around the corner?
Yeah, Thanksgiving is typically a large portion of my family, which is pretty big, gets together. And two daughters take turns every other year kind of thing.
Okay.
But this year, the daughter who is having it is a teacher, and she kind of feels like we shouldn't have a very big group at all because of her exposure and her mother-in-law, you know, same story. So it's probably going to be a very small little handful of people, really, as opposed to the normal large get-together. And it's one of the things about COVID that you kind of have to sacrifice occasionally for what you would like and what makes sense to do. You know, to have 25 people of all ages, some of whom go to school, some of them who are out exposed to people more, and then have them all come together is probably not a good idea. And as difficult and fat-headed as I can be about things like that, I think that's probably what has to be done. And unfortunately, that probably will spill over into Christmas as well. But that's the way it works now. So that's my take. I don't have any miracle that I can come up with, tell anybody about. I think the bottom line is that reality is such that most people will probably have to have a limited number of people together compared to what they normally might do. That's my take, basically. I don't know where.
You know, I mean, listen, and I think there's no answer, and I totally agree with you. And that's something that I think is on everyone's mind, you know, and like I said, it's difficult because you have to do, it's so circumstantial, so many pieces of it, you know, and comfortability levels and whatnot. You know, I'm very fortunate that my Thanksgiving is always just with my, you know, I'm in a mother-daughter house. So it's just my parents, me and Jay and my brother. So we live together anyway. So luckily our thing hasn't changed. And then normally we would go see my cousin. So that might be a little different now, you know, whereas we might go see them outside or something, you know, because like I said, I will troop it outside for as long as I can during this whole time, you know, and no matter how many layers I have to have on, you know, if that means I get to see someone, you know, outside, then I'm going to do it. So, but like I said, that's my comfort level. It might not be everyone's. And I think it's really, you know, people have to think about being safe, you know, because what's the worst thing, you know, you take that chance, you know, because I think about, you know, you take the chance and then what, you know, God forbid something happens. So I think it's just about being safe. And I'm definitely want to look at, hopefully when we come into, people will come up with some kind of suggestions and whatnot that I will be able to share on the show. So
it's pretty much going to be like a Zoom, I think. I'll go along with, I don't go along with Otto. I don't mean the way it sounds. I told my wife we should have everybody together. And of course, no, it's not happening. I said, but we see them individually.
I know.
But
I think
when we see them, we're not hanging out and hugging them. We're still seeing them from a distance.
Right.
But she said, how do you have dinner when, and they've never been to the house together.
Yeah.
The house is not a big house. I have a couple of rooms on the first floor. So then my wife came up with, somebody's in the living room. I happen to have 2 dens, put a family in each room.
Ooh, I like that one.
Then she would make 3 small turkeys and full stuffings. We could visit with each one and then send them all home with a small turkey. They'll eat at their own table. That's the last one she got to.
A great idea.
We're thinking of that because this way they're not mingling because 2 are teachers.
I know, it's hard.
In a classroom environment. So, and they don't want to come to me either. So we want to see them, with the 6 foot. She says, it's not worth it. And then the kids come in, they want to play with me. I don't mean it the way it sounds, but she says, there was a situation recently where a girl was babysitting for a young child and then had to stop because she wound up getting COVID, but she was clean. I mean, like she didn't have the symptoms. I don't mean she was clean, but she went home and then her parents wound up with it. And I think the grandmother, and I don't know where it began.
Right.
But ultimately, a week later, the mother's dead now.
Yeah.
And so when I first heard the beginning of the story, it's like, oh, well, but then when you hear the ultimate possibility that somebody could actually die, then you turn around and say, was it really worth it? And I look at it like we talked about Christmas. I'm saying, I told Steph, it's all or nothing. So she's like, and I tell her about you, Kristina. I said, I'm not taking anything down. If there's no Christmas, I don't need a wreath to acknowledge it. And she's like, we can't do that. I want to put at least the stockings. We'll put a tree. I said, what for though?
Listen to Steph. Doesn't matter. You enjoy it yourself. You don't need a whole thing to listen. No one's been actually inside my house this whole time. And you better believe this whole thing has been, listen, people have been outside, but no one's really gotten to enjoy my full display of decoration. So it's just, I just need Jay to walk around and compliment my, my decor every day is really
right.
I need to get that affirmation, but.
Well, I know we did something for Thanksgiving with the town, but that picture wasn't up. That one, the picture behind you.
That's right. Yeah, I had to take that down because that's Halloween centered. So.
Okay. I'm observing. I say, well, that's a new picture.
Yes, I couldn't, throw off the whole ambiance of things, but what I really think with people, and like I said, I told the line, and everyone's got a different thing. And I think it's important during this time, obviously if someone's being overtly unsafe, it's one thing to pass, but I think everyone's kind of does what they're comfortable in, and I try not to judge any of that. Right. Cause like I said, I have my own comfort level that might not be someone else's comfort level and whatnot, so like I said, me and my husband, it's like what all of us are saying have different comfort levels and things. So, but
so long as you're not putting anybody at risk,
of course, 100%. And that's something that I think is so important. And like I said, I think it's about getting creative, because what I always think of, what if there's someone who is approaching the end of life and this could be their last Thanksgiving, right? Because that's always how my brain works.
Don't go there.
So I'm like, I think it's just, I think it's so important though, to whether you drive past and just acknowledge, the person. I think like that's the most important thing, is just showing face. And it might not be in a normal situation, but I think there are certainly ways that you could let someone know you're thinking about them. I mean, look at it. I drove around and dropped things off to each of your houses, with things, because it was just a thing that was important to me to say, I'm thinking about you guys. So I'm just going to, run around and do this. So I think there are little kind of creative ways that people can do just to I think the most important thing is to not leave someone just abandoned and alone, because it might be extra work for you.
Right. I'm agreeing there. A person that is home alone, you got to do something, some sort of a drive-by, like you with your gifts.
Yeah, because I'm saying it's just something silly that could make, it doesn't have to be anything so elaborate. I just think it's just important for people to, not everyone is tech savvy, unfortunately. So, they need some kind of actual visual.
Right.
So. that's my thing. Hopefully, as the time comes, I'll get some more tips. Maybe I'll come up with something creative and outside the box that I can share with everyone. So,
well, Steph says it about her mother. Her mother's 91. So she said, if we do anything, then my mother will come out. I mean, just for the three of us, because she'll bring her mother out on a Sunday. Just, she used to walk to the store. And then a couple of years ago, she had a bad accident. And so she doesn't drive anymore. But at 91, it's a different story. But her girlfriends don't drive and yada, yada, yada. And, the diner's not open really. So her world has just closed down. So Steph tries to bring her out. She goes in to see her. In the very beginning, like she stood on the porch.
Yeah.
Didn't go in the house. But now you're getting a little bit more comfortable.
Right.
She's in the house by herself day after day. So Steph will pick her up, bring her out. She'll sit in the den or something with this fact. We might watch a movie or something. And then she'll bring her home. At least it was a little.
No, it's something, and I think it's so important because, like I said, I get it. Like it's a scary thing, and you're scared for yourself. You're scared for that person. It's just everything just inundates you, But I think, what Steph is doing, and that was saying she was comfortable, and I think that makes all the difference, in her mother's life. So I'm a firm believer, and you got to kind of figure it out, and do that for her, especially.
I think, John, what you just said, your mother-in-law, right? She's 91.
Yeah.
And she's home alone, basically. That to me, that's a very difficult situation.
Oh.
What do you do when you're 91 and you're home alone? What do you do all day if you try to visualize it? It depends on the person, of course. Some people can read. Some people are technologically able to go on the internet and do email or whatever. But there are people who have limitations. Maybe they have glaucoma, macular degeneration.
She has macula.
Okay, so now there's another problem on top of it. You probably have visited vision capability, so maybe you can't even read. My mother was in that boat, except she lived in our house, and she ended up sitting in a wheelchair. And I thought about it, looking back on it more so. What she must have been going through, in her mind, and how, like, we were out, we were working, whatever.
Of course.
She did have the luxury of at least we came in to the house every day because we lived there. But there are people where they're there all day, all night, all day, all night. Same thing all over again the next day. That's a very, very tough situation.
With my mother-in-law, I mean, Steph has offered to bring her out and stay with us, that kind of thing. Like, she wants no part of it. She's very fine. The thing is, and my wife is right, my mother-in-law was a widow at 55.
Okay.
So now my father-in-law was 10 years older. He was 66 when he was still young when he died, but she was a widow at 55. And then she had 3 kids. The youngest getting married, say 25. So she's been alone
for a while,
25 years.
Right.
And macular is the problem. And so what she does, she's a major phone caller all day long. And then she's Catholic. So she watches the Mass, the Rosary, all that stuff on the Catholic station. But I even call her. I never used to call her, to be honest with you. I might call her, especially with my situation. She's always delighted to hear from me. So when I go to a doctor, when I come home, the next day I might give her a call. It's a 45-minute. If you call her, you got to know you're going to be on the phone for 45 minutes to an hour.
That probably makes her day, though.
Oh, thank you. I love you. Thank you for calling me.
But I think this is something to think about in the outside world, just in general. And certainly the situation should make you realize it even more, for your relative that is homebound or the neighbor on the street that you see no one coming to visit. Something as simple as a phone call, and like in taking the time out of your day, I think is important to do, and just whether it's a little note. I mean, there's so many little things you can do, and I think that's important.
Again, this show has come to an end. This is the last segment of the show.
Goodbye.
And it was really wonderful, but we're going to go to Otto to talk about Circle of Support, that from the last advisory meeting. And I know Otto's a big fan of the Circle.
Well, I am. I would say it was really a hot item about 3 years ago where we talked about it a lot, and then it kind of faded a little bit. And this past Monday at the New Hyde Park Advisory Committee Zoom meeting, it came up again. And basically, for people who might be listening who don't know what we're talking about, Circle of Support is a document that's about 4 or 5 pages
Mhm.
that asks you a series of questions about what's your support circle. You know, who do you talk to about this, that, and whatever. And it makes people think. You know, if you are home, like we were just describing in the previous segment, um, and there's nobody with you, you really have to think about who is backing you up, who's supporting you. And the Project Independent social workers and nurses would both gladly come to your home, talk to you about the circle of support, just have a conversation, and hopefully help you construct a circle. The circle may be made up of neighbors. It may be a church you belong to, people from the church, you know, whatever. Point being, it's something that you really, really, you know, I happen to be fortunate. I have a large family. I'm not too concerned about it personally. You know, I know who would take care of what, but there's a lot of people I know that they don't have that luxury. And it's a blessing that I appreciate. But then there are people who don't have that. And I think maybe it would be good for them to work with somebody who could help them through it. So point being, you can get, if you call 311, you could get Circle of Support documentation to help you. Plus you could get people from Project Independence to actually come to your home and help you, although not home now.
Yeah, via the phone right now, right?
Zoom home
Yeah.
because they can't go to your home. But the bottom line is, I think it's an important thing to think about.
No, absolutely. And I think, you know, what's great about that, and I want to remind people too, is that, you know, you don't feel, oh my God, I don't have an answer for every line, you know, because as Otto said, the goal of the Circle of Support, it's really an ongoing kind of document. So it shows you where your gaps are, you know, so, oh, I don't know who I would call in this situation or what this doctor, you know, whatever it might be. So it gets you thinking. And I think it's all part of the preparing, you know, especially, listen, no one really knew that, you know, all these months later we'd still be in this situation. You know, we have seniors who are still scared to leave, you know, their house in fear of food, you know, and Project Independence really has served as that support system for them, you know. And I mean, I look at these things and, you know, so it's Project Independence in coordination with the Town of North Hempstead, and, you know, Supervisor Bosworth is just so on board with all the Project Independence programs and initiatives during this time, you know. And it's just we're so in the hustle and bustle of everything. And when I sit there and write a newsletter or gather information for something and really see all these programs that are coming out of this and services, and, you know, I want to tell people till the end of the year, you can take free transportation to the doctor or to, you know, the supermarket. So that's totally free. And they're in, you know, you're in a private taxi cab, you know, so it's not a joint situation. So there's so many safe things that have occurred that are so important.
But they now will take you to a polling place to vote also.
Thank you, Otto. You segued right into what I want to say, because this is so important. So the local taxi companies that Project Independence is partnered with, which is All Island and Deluxe Transportation, they're going to be providing free rides to all the polls in Nassau County from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. You can do that, and it's really, you can call 311. We'll give you the specifics on that, but I thought that that was really wonderful, because I know that that's a source, you know, of anxiety for people, certain transportation things. So call 311 for that information. And also,
Can I just jump in here before you go on?
Absolutely.
Circle of Support, to go back to that for a second. Is Rebecca familiar with that?
Yes.
What do you mean?
Rebecca Miller?
Yeah, I mean, we all worked on it together.
Would that be something that in January, as opposed to having a guest, we do like a 2-hour Kristina Lou and go through step by step?
Well, you know what's really, and that's what we have our nurse and our social worker, because they're really the ones that are the direct people that are filling this out. You know, we put this all together as a team, right. But the nurse and social worker are actually going to be on the show in December. And that's part of what they'll be talking about, is just the importance of.
Oh, okay.
Because like I said, that's part, and I want to remind people that when you call a social worker and nurse, the Circle of Support is part of their assessment tool for you. So they'll come with you with all kinds of material and different questions. And the circle of support is one of the documents that they have that's part of their assessment on whatever, your needs may or may not be. So yeah, it started with it was the social worker, and then a bunch of our teams, came up with the concept of it and revamped it over the years. So call 311. Like I said, if you are interested in that, I think it's great. And Otto brought up a good point about we're trying to make that a digital kind of thing. So that should be wonderful. So call 311. I also want to encourage people. There is a really, really cool program that's going to be coming out through Project Independence. It's starting on November 10th. It's called In Your Own Words. It's facilitated by one of our social workers, Gina, and it's a workshop to really help guide you on the path of journaling and recording your experiences on paper, whether it's poetry, short stories, whatever it might be. It's going to be the second and fourth Tuesday of each month at 11:30 via Zoom. But I think it's really great. Like I said, we have so many programs or Project Independence that are heavy on, Medicare or medical things, and we're also trying to come up with, kind of therapeutic social programs, because that's something that's obviously void from a lot of people's lives. So this one, I think, in being a creative kind of thing, is really beneficial and therapeutic, obviously, for a lot of people right now.
What I just thought about, and I think of it because of John's mother-in-law with the macular degeneration. There are people who probably have a lot of things going on up here that they would love to share with somebody. Maybe we ought to come up with a way or suggested way that they can do this verbally, like into a cassette player or a smartphone that has a recorder, so that they can, maybe somebody would talk to them about having an outline of, where did it begin?
Right.
Where did you live at such and such a point? Blah, blah, blah. And then have the person answer these questions verbally into a digital recording, or frankly, you can even do it with a TV / audio recording. I think it would be priceless memory.
Yeah, because it's it's in the same line as the
point being, I'm sorry, but the point being, if you can't see, you can't write, you can't type, how about let's try it
absolutely
verbally,
No, I think that's great. And it's like recording your own kind of oral history, thing. So I think is certainly, that's a great idea, especially as you were saying, there are people who unfortunately have certain limitations. So that's definitely something I'll bring back to the team, Otto, because I really like that suggestion. Also, there's going to be next week, I want to remind people, Marcus O'Toole, who is he's a lawyer, and he's going to discuss estate planning and administration during the COVID-19 pandemic. Obviously, it's probably been a difficult time doing all these things, virtually and whatnot, different. And he'll tell you what you need to get in order. So that should be certainly a wonderfully informative show. So that is next week. So I want to remind people to check in on that. You can still also call for the Medicare Part D, which plan is right for you. I really am encouraging people to do this. They are individual phone appointments. You talk to a pharmacist, you have a list of all your medications, and they will work with you and put into their system whatever will be the most beneficial Medicare Part D plan based upon what medications you're on. The amount of money that's saved every year is so important. So that's November 10th. And November 18th. So you just call 311 and they'll give you your individual appointment slot. So please check that out. Obviously, all of our social groups are still meeting. Our St. Francis van, I want to tell people, is providing flu shots. They have both the senior enhanced flu shot and the regular flu shot. So whatever is right for you based upon your doctor, you are able to do. You do not need to make an appointment for this.
Just to interrupt you, Kristina.
Yeah.
I got my flu shot last week, and the nurse was giving me one flu shot. And then the doctor said, no, he gets the other flu shot. And I told him about you. I said,
quadrivalent. That's right. You're very knowledgeable on all the technical terms now from promoting it all these
things. A certificate. I got a certificate that I got my flu shot.
There you go. I love it.
You're now in the super flu shot category.
I am, whatever it was.
When you're over 65, you're supposed to get the super shot.
Yeah, it's like the enhanced, right?
That's what I got. She said, wait a minute. She says, no, he doesn't get that one. I got the super, the supercalifragilistic.
Right. But that is, so St. Francis is really great. It actually has both available, which I think is really wonderful. So that's on November 23rd from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. It's going to be at the Port Washington Adult Activity Center. And then on November 4th, they will be providing strictly flu shots only at Magnolia Gardens in Westbury. So you can do that. It's really great that we've been partnered with them. And like I said, they, as a hospital system, really thought outside the box with this van and doing it outside. And then if the weather was bad, they're in a giant room that's completely, you know, spaced out. So they really had a very strict guidelines of how to keep things safe. So we obviously want people to get their flu shots and be safe during this time. So call 311 if you need more information about that as well. Also, November 30th, we're having a great chat. She will also be on our radio program. It's called COVID-19 and Caregiving. Elizabeth Robles from the Alzheimer's Association of Long Island. She's a wonderful, wonderful speaker. She will really be on talking about the challenges of caregiving. You know, we mention this all the time on the show. Caregivers, half the time they don't even look at themselves as caregivers. And the other half, they're just not even, you know, taking care of themselves or have time to. So especially during this time, it's been very taxing on that role. So we will give you some good tips on how to do that and just kind of different resources that are out there. So there's such great programs in Project Independence, and please call 311 or 869-6311. And I want to mention, if you don't have a video capability, you can still join a Zoom via the telephone. So that is something that is, you can't say, oh, I don't have a smartphone or a computer, but you probably have a landline and you can call in and be a part of the sessions, which a lot of people are doing. So.
And just one other thing also is that call 311 if you have an idea for a speaker. I mean, Kristina, we're booked. We're into January, I know that. So it's not a matter that we're looking for speakers because Kristina finds them.
I always like suggestions. I'll take them.
If there's a subject that you think we haven't talked about and you'd like somebody professional to come on, please do. But that's our show for today. I think it's been a tremendous, and Kristina has her lovely outfit on. I want to wish everybody a safe, happy Halloween. Don't go crazy. Be safe whatever you do. Wear your mask, and with your children, go out. Just know what you're doing. You've been listening to Senior Talk Radio here on 88.1 FM and WCWP.org. We'll be back next week, everyone.